Hello and welcome. My name is Carla Inez, and this is Trusting Through Trials. I am the host of this podcast. Today, I would like to talk about the influence of things, whether that's people or music or what we watch. Basically, everything around us and what we consume kind of shapes and affects us. And that can be in a good way or in a not so good way. And so I kind of want to talk about that and I want to share from my own experiences. I would like to say that this is a Christian podcast. Doesn't mean you have to be Christian to listen. I am not perfect. I might not get everything right. I try my best not to use verses out of context. But again, I'm not perfect. I'm not a biblical philosopher or nothing. So double check in your word if anything feels off. Yeah, okay. So I wanted to do this one kind of from the start just because I used to be ashamed of who I was and being a Christian. I didn't want people to know and I would hide it. And that was just a fear of how others would see me because I used to work in a place, favorite job, but it wasn't the best environment. It was full of young people and gossip and rumors. Like everyone was kind, but there's just the stuff that hurts. And it's like, how much does gossip and rumors really hurt? Well, if you've had some made about you, which I'm pretty sure most people have, then you know how much that they can hurt when they aren't true. And it affects how people perceive you. But one thing is, Christianity is mocked and hated. And so I was scared because I didn't know any other Christians in my workplace. Were there any other ones? If there were, I didn't know. And if they were there, they probably didn't know that I was, possibly, which is sad. It's a sad reality, but it's true. That's kind of when I started being like, okay, I gotta read my Bible. And I would read my Bible on my breaks, and I would get kind of scared for people to see it because I would just be on my phone using the one on my phone. But if anyone kind of walked behind me on my break, I would kind of hide it because I was like, wait, I don't want them to know I'm a Christian. I don't want them to treat me differently. I don't want them to dislike me. Because people would make jokes. People use God's name in vain all the time, and I'm not saying that people that do hate God. Some do, but not all. Some people just do it out of habit, which isn't good because you shouldn't do that. But some people do. I'm homeschooled and I've grown up Christian. I went to a once a week class for most of my life. And whenever people would ask me questions at work, I would hide the fact that the once a week class was held in a church. I would hide the fact that it was an online Christian school because I didn't want them to know that I was Christian, which was silly because when it did come out the odd times and I did say something, then I'd be so scared. I'd be like, oh no, what are they going to think of me? And it was always fear for nothing because usually they didn't react in a bad way. They were just like, okay, a lot of people are. And so it was just a fear for no reason. And we shouldn't be ashamed of being Christian because we're supposed to be a light. We are supposed to be going out there and sharing the gospel. And that can be also kind of hard because not everyone wants to receive it. And that's where we can be the influence of if we share, if we say, and they don't take it in, it's kind of like, well, what now? Like, I know this person is so kind and so sweet, and I want them to be saved. Yes, Jesus does too. but we can't force it on people, because I know that when I was younger, and there was a time where I hated God, and I just anything to do with him, I would block it out. But when people are acting as Jesus acts, and how do we do that? By spending time with him and getting to know him and being with him. The more we spend time with people, the more we become like them. It's a scientific fact. You become who you surround yourself with. Jesus is one of those people who we can surround ourselves with if we are in his word. But we don't act like he is all the time because he's not physically here. But the people that you have on earth and who you surround yourself with, it can be dangerous if they are in the world, because it is very easy to get peer pressured into situations and start doing things that you might not want to do. When I worked in that place, I only worked there for a year. In that year, I changed a lot. I didn't ever go and do parties or drink or smoke or any of that. But who knows where it could have gone. I fell into lust and other stuff like that, which I would like to do a whole episode on and get deeper into that, because that's a huge topic in and of itself. I was ashamed of being a Christian. I didn't want people to know. I would hide it. I noticed my work ethic depleted. I don't know if that's the right word, but I stopped working as Jesus would want me to, because Jesus wants us to work and do our best, even if nobody else notices the extra work, the extra little elbow grease you put into scrubbing something. A lot of time people don't notice. Sometimes they do, and it's nice. The way that people would work there is they would only work what was enough to get by. And over time, it would bug me, because I'd be like, why aren't you fully cleaning this thing? Like, you're doing one step less just because technically the managers are like, oh yeah, that's fine. And they don't go and do the extra little check to see that if you wipe whatever it was, the machine, that there would be black on it if you wiped it and you didn't do the last step. But just looking at it, you couldn't tell. So people would usually skip that last step, and it would bug me, because that was my machine that I used the most. So I would always clean it properly, and when people didn't clean it properly, then it would build up and get bad, which was like, it was not the funnest thing. But they would do that with a lot of things around. No, not everyone did. There were the few odd people who cleaned and did stuff properly, but it was hard because it's a minimum wage job. People are there being like, yeah, this is work. Why should I put my best effort in when they don't have someone that they know is above and watching them? I know I have God, and I know that He sees what I do, and that He is proud of me when I put in the extra work. And when I don't, and when I decide I'm a little bit lazy and I'm not doing it as I should, it probably makes him a little sad. Except for when I was a little kid. Even if nobody else notices, because God notices. But when you don't have that, yes, God is still watching over them and looking at them too, but it's not something on their mind because He is not inside of them. So then those types of things would rub off on me. I'm not saying that it's their fault, but it's like, it's easy to fall into the things that people who are surrounding you are doing. You become who you surround yourself with. I didn't have a lot of friends in that time, and most people who I would talk to would be at work. And I would be at work, I don't know. It wasn't full time, but I would be there 5 days out of the week sometimes, not for a full 8 hours, but like, they were the primary people I was with. I didn't have community at my church. And so seeing their little, just being a little lazier, a little bit more like careless about some things, it rubbed off on me. And I didn't notice the change in myself as it went because it was so gradual. But once I hit the 1 year mark, I kind of looked back at the start of the year and I was like, hold on, I've changed. And not in a good way, not in a way that is pleasing to God. Why? Why was I scared to let people know that I was a Christian? If anyone asked, I would never hide it. I would never say, no, I'm not a Christian. If people were like, oh, do you come from a religious family? I would say, well, my family is Christian. But if I could ever hide it, I would. If there was ever information that I could withhold because it wasn't directly asked, I would. And I shouldn't have. People did know that I wouldn't drink, I wouldn't smoke, I wouldn't vape, because like I would get offered sometimes and I would be like, oh no, I'm good. But all these little things, your desire grows sometimes, and the process is always slow. The deeper you get into thing and the more you allow yourself to do something, the deeper the roots from that thing will grow and deepen. And the stronger roots get, the harder it is to uproot something. So when it might seem innocent to do just, a little bit, well, you just planted the seed of that sin. And the roots are going to grow if you don't pluck it out and repent. Be like, I'm sorry, God. Please give me the strength and help me not to do it. And a lot of those times, you gotta walk away. If your friends are gonna peer pressure you into doing stuff, you gotta walk away. It's gonna be hard, and you might be like, well, then I'm gonna be alone. Yeah. In the world sense, you might be alone. I've gone through many seasons where I've been feeling completely alone and feel like I have no one. Has that been true for me? No. But if you have God, then you're never alone. And He will always be with you. I highlighted a verse. It's Matthew 6:24, and it says, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. It does say God and money there, but it's true, you can't serve two masters. You can't be in the world and doing the things of the world and be serving God. Why? Because the things of the world are not of God. They're not of God. It's the opposite. Otherwise, there is no middle ground. It's not like, oh yeah, no. But like, I do both. You can't do both. You gotta choose, because if you are of God, you won't be constantly doing those things. It's not like a balance, then you're lukewarm. And lukewarm isn't good. I don't remember which verse or where it is, but it says that He will spit the lukewarm out of His mouth. He doesn't like the lukewarm. Why? Because you're in the world. Just because you're going to church, just because you're going to a worship, if you're leaving and your life outside of those events is not growing your relationship with God, trying your best, yes, you will fall. You will fall and you will stumble, but get back up. Try again, do your best, repent. Ask for strength, ask for guidance. Follow Him. Don't just accept, oh, I fell. Well, it wasn't that bad. I'm already here, so why not just do a little more? No, don't do that. Don't do that, because it's going to get a whole lot harder to get out. It's also hard when everyone around you is swearing. I don't swear. My parents didn't swear, so it wasn't from them. Very blessed to have grown up that way. But usually there's a time when kids do it. But yeah, just because I wasn't swearing out loud doesn't mean I wasn't in my head. When everyone around me was swearing and just it was all I would hear, and it's like every third word be a swear word sometimes with some people. It'd be like it's what you hear, it's what you start to think. I would get angry. And if I was ever mad at my mom, it wasn't good. I would be swearing in my head at her, which is awful and not right. Okay, there's a verse here that I would like to find. It's Colossians 3:8. It says, oh, by the way, this is NIV. It says, but now you must also rid yourselves of all such things as these: anger, rage, malice, slander, and filthy language from your lips. Going on from verse 8, which I will go back to and I will talk on. But going on, I don't know where I'll stop. I'm just going to continue on. It says, do not lie to each other, since you have taken off your old self with its practices and have put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge of the image of its creator. Here, there is no Jew or Gentile, circumcised or uncircumcised. I'm not sure how to say these words. I'm going to say them so wrong, and I'm sorry. Barbarian, Scythian, slave or free, but Christ is all and is in all. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive, as the Lord forgave you. And over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you were called to peace, and be thankful. Let the message of Christ dwell among you richly as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom through psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit, singing to God with gratitude in your hearts. And whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. Okay, I actually didn't get that far when originally reading it and looking up verses. But I love verse 17 also, because it goes back to do your best in all things. It says, whatever you do, whether in word or deed, whether that's how you're speaking or actions you are doing, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. Do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus. Do it all for him. Give thanks to him, no matter what it is. Do it for him. Going back though, and to verse 8, the things I was struggling with was anger, which not too long ago I was also struggling with anger, and I think I have done a lot better with it. I would just be praying for a patient heart and for a compassionate heart, and I would pray for forgiveness and strength. And it took a while, but I do think I've gotten a lot better with anger. But it says to rid yourself of all these things, and it ends with filthy language from your lips. We have no reason to really be swearing, and it's hard when you surround yourself and are surrounded with people who do, because then you do it in your mind. And what's in your mind, how is that any better than what comes out? What matters is where your heart is at. And if inwardly you're secretly swearing and thinking lustfully, all these things, that's where your heart is. And that's not okay. If you feel conviction about it, that's good. Work on that. Work on it with Jesus. I believe he can help us through anything. He's not always gonna just instantly fix everything for us. We do have to work on it and grow and learn. Because why would we need to put, if you're excited about something, sometimes you can swear and then say, yes! Or you can be like, no! Why do we have to put the extra? We should only give a simple yes or no. It is talked about so much throughout the Bible to control your tongue and to be careful what you say and how dangerous the tongue is. And I would like to go to Ephesians 4:29. It says, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen." See, in my mind, when I read that verse, I'm not entirely sure if this is what it's talking about, but I read that as don't gossip. Don't say things that will tear others down. We want to uplift others. We want to be a light to others, even to other Christians. We have no reason to gossip. Gossip hurts. It hurts a lot. When people are gossiping about you, saying stuff about you behind your back, it hurts. There's no reason to do that. But it's easy to fall into. It's easy to fall into even with other Christians sometimes. Thankfully, my friends have helped me to get out of that, because I used to be really bad at gossiping. I was. And then my friends kind of convicted me and were like, hey, that's not okay. Like, shouldn't be gossiping about others. It hurts. And I didn't even always realize how much it could hurt. And I was like, but it's not like they would know. Okay, and what if they did find out? But it's not about if they find out. Do you want people doing that to you? Talking behind your back? No, you don't. So easy to fall into, though. Because I remember when I would be at work, there would literally just be a group in the kitchen, huddled up in a circle, kind of, and they would just be gossiping about the other workers, about, oh, how can you believe this person did this? Or, oh, did you hear about this? Or, oh my goodness, they're really trying to go into that career. And it's like, why are you tearing them down because of it? There's no need for that. And when that's what's being talked about, it's really easy to fall into. One verse that I think is really good is in Romans. It's Romans 12:2. It says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what is God's will, is his good, pleasing, and perfect will." Do not be conformed to the patterns of this world. I googled what it means and how to become conformed to something, and two of the examples it gave that stood out the most was aligning behaviors and beliefs and desire of social harmony. Usually when you're with people, you want social harmony, and it's easy. They rub off on you, you rub off on them, whether that's in a good or a bad way. And this is why it's so important to have good friends. But social harmony, a desire of social harmony, that's the main thing that stood out. That's just how life goes when you're in groups. You don't want it to be a mess. You don't want everyone to be fighting. You want it to be, I don't know, a harmony, peaceful. You don't want people to disagree or stuff. I don't know. And so then you kind of just conform to things sometimes and be like, I don't want to be the odd one out. Okay. And you'll start doing these things, even if it's gossip. It also says the other part of the verse, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. How do you renew your mind? Your mind focuses on and believes what is constantly being fed and told. So if you're feeding your mind thoughts, music, shows, reels that are very worldly, that's going to be what's going through your mind. How do you renew it then? You renew it by cleansing it with Jesus, Bible verses. When it's like, oh, I'm so anxious about this thing, then go and read Bible verses. Remind yourself of Bible verses. Repeat Bible verses that tell you not to be anxious. When you're struggling with gossip or swearing, remind yourself of the Bible verses that tell you not to. And remind yourself of when you're like, how do I get out of this situation? I don't feel like I have the strength to do it. Remind yourself that God can help you through anything. He will give you strength. Ask and it will be given to you. Draw near to him and he will draw near to you. Remind yourself of these things. You might be like, I feel so far. Draw near to him and he will draw near to you. He isn't far from you, even if you feel far from him. I have to keep checking the mic to see if it didn't turn off. I mentioned briefly in an example, music. Music is something that I noticed really affects and changes my mood. And I think that's how it works for just about everybody. And when my music taste was all sad, depressing music, which that was for a while, I would only listen to sad and depressing songs. Well, that's when I was sad and depressed. And I'm not saying, oh, it was solely because of the music, no. But it did have a big impact on it. When you're going through a breakup, let's say, and you're listening to heartbreak songs, it's going to accentuate your feelings. And you're going to feel it even more. And you're going to reminisce on it even more. And you're going to feel even more pain. There was someone at work who, he wasn't a Christian, and he was like, yeah, I only listen to Christian music because I feel like it really affects my mood. And it actually puts me in such a better mood. And I was kind of like, that's interesting. I was like, I'm a Christian and I don't do that. So then I started trying. And in that time of my life, no, I didn't fully change and do that. But recently in my life, I have been listening to basically only Christian music. Because the other music doesn't satisfy me. It doesn't make me feel good. And when it is like depressing stuff, I went through depression. It can kind of remind me of that feeling a little bit. And I can kind of be like, oh, this just makes me want to be all mopey. And no, I don't get depressed from it. I don't go back to being depressed. But it can remind and make you feel a little bit more like, it's like when you're listening to sad songs, it's more likely you're gonna just be sad. And that's why a lot of people like to listen to sad songs when they're sad, but some people will listen to happy, upbeat songs when they're sad. Why? Because it can kind of get you out of that mood. Not always, but sometimes it can. Why? Because music affects you. And so listening to upbeat, happy songs can bring you out of that. Listening to peaceful songs can help you feel more peace and comfort. Those are currently my favorite songs. They're just the peaceful, calm, Christian, soft songs, but sometimes I like the upbeat ones. But main point is what you take in, what you listen to, who you are with. Everything you take in affects you and affects your mood and who you are. And so be mindful of these things. If you feel like, oh, this could be really affecting me and not in a positive way, maybe try and change that. Especially if you are feeling conviction from it, then that's when you know you've got to change that, because God is being like, hey, I need you to work on this. But it's so refreshing once you're out of it, and once you are changing these little habits. Like, oh my goodness. I love Jesus so much. He just makes me happy, and he fills me with joy even when I'll go into work sometimes and be like, oh, I don't want to be here. And I'll just be singing songs in my head. Oh my goodness, my voice right now. But I'll be singing like hymns or something, worship in my head during work, and sometimes out loud, but never loud enough for people to hear me. I'm not a good singer. That is not one thing that I have been gifted with, but that's okay. But it puts me in a good mood, and I'll just be smiling, and sometimes people are probably like, why the heck is she smiling right now? When it's so early in the morning, it's like, because I've got Jesus. He makes me happy. But these are the things. Back when I did listen to sad, depressing music, I would try and avoid the explicit songs, just because that's a struggle. Is when that's in your head, that's going to be in your head when you're listening to sexual stuff. It's going to be easier, and you're going to be more tempted with lust And music. Music gets stuck in your head all the time. Like, you almost always have a song stuck in your head. And that's why I like listening to Christian stuff, because then I can have Christian music stuck in my head, which is really nice. Instead of having songs stuck in my head that might have swear words in them, or might be very sexual. Because again, what is in your mind, what's constantly going through your mind, what you repeat in your mind, the patterns, that's what your mind takes in. And so when you have a song stuck in your head, if it's not a great song, songs stuck in your head, you repeat and repeat and repeat them. And so, I don't know. There's a point there. Hopefully you get it just from saying that, but just from me saying that, but yep. And Reels. I mostly am on Instagram Reels more than YouTube Shorts, but it can also be YouTube Shorts or TikTok. It's really easy to get catchy audio stuck in your head too. And how does your For You page work? It goes off of what you watch. Your For You page, if you're watching and mostly watching, let's say, outdoorsy stuff, then your stuff's gonna be filled with outdoorsy stuff. Your mind actually works in the same way. And that's how it works, is what it takes in. That's how it works. Hopefully that helps explain it a little better. Maybe that made no sense. But your For You page works by the things you watch are what's gonna be shown. And yeah, you'll probably get the odd trendy audio a lot of times, actually. But if you scroll past it and they're like, really fast, then it doesn't really show you it again, because it's like, oh, they're not interested in that. I want to show this person stuff they are interested in. So then if it's baking, cooking, it will show you that stuff. If it's Christian stuff, it will show you that stuff. And if it's not, then it won't show you that stuff. And if you are always scrolling past the Christian stuff, I'm not saying you have to watch every single Christian thing. Sometimes I get conviction about that, but it's not like they're always perfect. But if you just always scroll past them, you're not going to have Christian stuff in your feed. And I think screen time is something that I'm working on and getting out of it and stopping being on my phone as much, because, yeah, it just feels like a waste of my day. Yeah, sure, the odd time I get good advice from a reel or I learn something new and I'm like, oh, that's cool. There's a bug. But I'm not going on there to learn. I'm going on there to be brainless. To just waste time, to be like, I'm bored. I'm gonna just scroll. And then I do, and I'm like, I don't really want to do other things that are productive and that I want to do, and so then I'll scroll. So I'm working on that right now, and getting out of that. But if your For You page is full of stuff or audios that aren't great, then that's going to be going through your mind. And that's why it's a great thing when people are like, I'm deleting Instagram or I'm deleting TikTok. It's like, good for you. I'm proud of you. For me, that's a little bit harder because I can't do that. So I've got to learn how to just get rid of the desire without getting rid of the app, because I am posting on it for my podcast. So it's a bit harder, but and also it's a place where a lot of people communicate. Like, that's where I talk to my best friend. And I know that a lot of my friends talk to their best friends on there. So it's hard. But that's why we gotta figure out how to get out of that. How do we break out of this? We break out of it by getting into other habits. Once we get out of the habit of doing something, we're in a new habit, don't really have the desire to do the other thing as much. And Jesus is a great way to get out of any bad habits. It's not going to be easy all the time, but he has helped me through all of my bad habits that I've really struggled with. He has helped me through them. And no, I'm not saying I never get tempted. I do still sometimes, but it's helped a lot. And I'm no longer ashamed. I'm no longer ashamed of being a Christian. I love talking about my faith and I love sharing it. Sometimes I still do get scared and I'm like, well, that's kind of scary. I don't know if I want to go out there and do that. But also sometimes it's like, why not? One of my biggest regrets was being ashamed of being a Christian. I was at work and someone didn't ask, they went around and were like, oh, everyone's depressed here. Like, everyone's depressed. I don't know if it's possible to not be depressed. And it was true and it was sad. Everyone at work basically talked about just how depressed they were, how they wanted to kill themselves, or they would say, go off and kill yourself. Just go kill yourself then. That's what would always be talked about there. All the time. And so this person was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure not a single person that works here isn't depressed. And I was like, well, I'm not. And they looked at me with genuine curiosity and were like, how? There's no way. And I was like, well, no, I used to be, but I'm not anymore. And they looked like they just wanted help and they wanted out of it. And they were like, how? I know exactly how. God helped me through. It was a battle. It was hard. He helped me through, though. I leaned on him. I asked for his strength and for him to be with me. And I slowly stopped being depressed because of leaning on him and reminding myself of the truth of how I was loved and how people did care. But I didn't respond to them being like, God, help me. I responded to them and I just said, I don't know. And they were like, oh. That's one of my biggest regrets. I could have planted a seed that day and I didn't. And you might be like, well, it's not like you can. Here's what I would tell myself. I'd be like, well, I didn't do it, but someone else will come into their life and plant a seed. You don't know that. You don't know that. You might be the only person, the last person that they come across who could have planted a seed for Jesus. You don't know what's going to happen. I know so many people recently, not that I know personally, but people that I do know personally, a lot of my friends' friends have passed away. Very young. In their teens, in their 20s, just died from an accident, from a sickness. We don't know how long we have here. We can so easily just be like, think that we got all the time in the world, that we've got years left. We don't really know that. We don't know how long we have here. You could be the last person to plant a seed. If you're feeling conviction, but you're scared to do it, to go out and talk and to share Jesus, do it! Do it! If God is telling you to do it, then do it. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed of who you are. Go out and be a light and share Jesus. Because I don't think they want to be in hell. You might be like, well, it's kind of scary. What if they hate me? What if they really take it in? but you were too scared, so you didn't say anything. It's a terrible feeling when you don't. And if you have the opportunity again, then that's amazing. And take it. But you don't know if you're going to get that other opportunity. One thing I actually wanted to touch on at the start, but I kind of got sidetracked. It's also starting to rain, so I'm probably going to wrap this up semi soon after I say this last thing. But when you are in the world and you aren't of the world and you shouldn't be living of the world, it's okay to be friendly with people who are in the world, but don't make them your main community. Don't have them as your main influence. Don't have them as the main people you are surrounding yourself with. Sometimes you can't really control that though, because sometimes it is just your work environment and you don't really have other people outside of it. If that is the case, I highly recommend finding a church with a community that you can grow in and then surrounding yourself with them. But sometimes that's hard. And sometimes that's just not where you are yet. And you're still searching for that community. So sometimes your main community is them. And so you're going to really need to root yourself in Jesus. You're going to need to spend a lot of time with him because it's hard and it's easy to have people rub off on you. It's so easy. But how do you rub off on them? If you do share and they don't take it in and you're like, I want this person to know Jesus. But me telling them is pushing them away. This is an analogy that I like to use. I hope I actually use it good because I think it's a good analogy. It just came into my mind one day. And it's, we're called to be the light. What is light? Light is something that helps us to see. Jesus is the lamp to our feet and the light to our paths. He is the light. Jesus is the light. We are told not to walk in darkness. And we are supposed to be the light for others around us. But what happens when you shine a light in someone's eyes? It burns. It hurts. And they're going to squint their eyes even harder shut. If their eyes are closed and you're shining it in their eyes, they're going to be like, oh, what the heck? Like, please stop. They're going to be like, why are you shining this light in my eyes? It's burning my eyes. And you're like, no, it's supposed to help you see. It's good for you. But you're shining it in their eyes. And they're like, what do you mean this hurts? If you are pushing it onto someone when they tell you that they don't want it and they don't want to receive it, it's going to burn their eyes. It's going to hurt. Jesus is love. He is the light. He is gentle. And he is compassionate. And he wants to save us. He doesn't want to hurt us. But if we are taking the light and shoving it in their eyes, that's just going to make them shut their eyes even tighter, squint them shut, and look away. So then you might be like, well, then how do I share? You close your eyes, and you put your hands over your eyes. You can see that it's dark. When you take your hand away, you can tell that there's light. And when you're in a dark room and your eyes are shut, and your eyes are shut, and light enters a room, you can tell that there's light there, even with your eyes closed. And you can even sometimes feel the warmth. When your eyes are shut and the sun is shining and you're not in the sun and then the sun comes, you can feel it. You can feel it and you can see it even if your eyes are closed. And if there's just a subtle thing and it's like, what is that? I wonder what that is. And you are being you and you are being a light and you're not shining it in someone's eyes. It might help them to open their eyes. And then they might see and be like, what is that? I want that. It's warm. It feels nice. And when they open their eyes, they will see how great the light can be. And no, you weren't shining it in their eyes with the wrong intention. You're being like, I want you to see. It's so great. It's so great. Just look. But when it's in your face, that hurts. It's going to hurt and it's going to make them squint and look away. And if they just want to open their eyes and receive it when you share it, then that's great. But if they don't want to receive it, and then you're being like, hey, that's not what we're called to do. Just continue being you then. And if don't then hide God. If you're having a conversation and you're talking, then still be like, yeah, this, and be like, well, personally, this is how I feel about it, and I believe that God, that's how I like to talk. I had a friend who was an atheist, but she was one of my best friends, and we would talk. We were close. So when I was kind of trying to become more like Jesus, getting out of my lukewarm, and we would have talks, and it'd be great because it would challenge my faith. Sometimes the questions she would ask, not challenge my faith, but like challenge me in a good way to strengthen my faith. She wasn't doing it to strengthen my faith, but it would, because they would be hard questions that I got to answer. I love questions that are hard that I get to try and answer. So I kind of miss that, not gonna lie. I don't really know what happened. She just kind of stopped talking to me one day, but I still pray for her. I love her so much. I have so much love for her. But she never judged me for being a Christian. She never judged me for being who I was. And I didn't judge her for being who she was. But I would tell her, I'd be like, hey, I love you, but I can't, I'm forgetting the word, but I couldn't encourage what she was doing, and I couldn't be like, oh yeah, like I'm totally fine with it. I'd be like, hey, personally, I don't believe that that's what you should be doing, but I can't stop you. But I'm gonna let you know that I don't think you should be doing that. And if she took that and was like, yeah, you're right, then she would. And if she was like, well, I personally think it's okay, then I'd be like, okay, there's not much more I can do. But we both just kind of had an understanding that we didn't agree with each other's beliefs. But that didn't mean we couldn't respect the other person. That didn't mean we couldn't care for the other person. But we just didn't believe the same thing. And we couldn't. I would really love to have the word. The word makes it all. It's not encourage. It's not that. It's a word that is so often used in the world where it's like, if this person doesn't do this, then they don't love you. But it's like, no. Oh, this is gonna bug me. It's okay. I'm not sure. Hopefully that made sense though. Yeah. I don't know if there was more I had to say. No, I definitely had more verses. I didn't even say half the ones, but I kind of write them down just so that I can be like, this is fitting. I would like to share this. But yeah, this was this episode. I hope it was okay. I hope God was able to speak through me and you were able to take something from it. And thank you so much for listening if you made it all the way through. And I really hope I will be seeing you in 2 weeks. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. That was a funny way to end. Normally it goes a little different. That was very just abrupt ending, but that's okay.